Welcome to another good episode of Two Smooth Operators, the only podcast about gate operator life for
The only
technicians.
one, the only.
Your hosts, Michael Brooks and Robert Evers. Stay tuned for another great episode.
All right, well,
Oh, yeah.
but man, I hope, man. All right, well, that just happened. Hot damn, brother. What's going on, my
Yeah.
man?
Nothing much, man. Just enjoying this Sunday evening, getting ready for my work day tomorrow.
I'm just eating grapes and stuff
Well,
like
that's
that.
good for you.
Man, my stomach was getting going crazy today. I think I've
Oh,
been drinking
man.
too much of this Dr. Pepper. I hadn't had sodas in forever, and then I got sick the other day. Had a couple 7 Ups, and then it's been on since then. So my stomach
Yeah.
probably don't like it.
Yeah, well, I'm in muscadine wine country here in North Carolina.
What is that?
Muscadine grapes.
Muscadine grapes? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
particular type of grape. I'm not wine drinking
yeah.
myself. I think it's
It's
gross.
a sweet, kind of sweet tasting grape.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anything going on in the gate operator world out there? Just still getting it
Uh,
done. How was the weather out there?
it's cold, man. It's been very cold here in the eastern part of North Carolina. Didn't know. In January, it's supposed to might get some snow. We're gonna get some rain. So Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that.
And where you're at, you typically don't get that much snow.
No, very little snow. I'm on the
Mm.
East Coast, so it's kind of hit and
That's
miss.
that ocean. It doesn't ever push any wind or anything like that off of it to get a lake effect snow or ocean effect snow or anything like that.
Well, 95. I'm on the east side of 95, southeast, and so it normally don't snow past 95,
Oh, gotcha,
Interstate 95. So for
gotcha.
some reason it doesn't. It can snow on the other side, but it won't snow at my house sometimes. So, but it'll get cold and snow every now and then, but it's never really a whole lot.
Well, here in Las Vegas, I don't think they ever get snow.
That's when hell freezes over.
Yeah, that's about it, man. The last show, not the last show, first Finch show, they had here in Las Vegas, they had all kinds of rain. It was still October. It was still September, so it's not like there was expecting snow, but they had a whole bunch of rain, and I don't know that I've
Hmm.
seen rain since. So they don't really get that much stuff. But of course, it is a desert. So, well,
Yeah.
look, man, we've been pumping out a bunch of videos. We had our best month so far on YouTube, so
Hmm.
that was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Um, same old stuff. Just those videos that we get ourselves into with chain
Hmm.
brackets and chain and all that stuff. Biggest one we got going right now is where somebody put a photo eye, an Omron photo eye, with the bracket upside down behind the photo eye, so you can't adjust the bracket if you need to.
Yeah.
But the customer, they took that down and they put a one of those new All-O-Matic ones in. Have you put any of the new All-O-Matic photo eyes in? Not the they have a second generation now. Have you put any of those in?
The big one. It's a bigger
It's
photo. It's
is
a little
it
bit
bigger?
bigger than the first one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's
Well,
where
then
you
yeah,
can take it and take your adapter and screw it into the bottom of it
yeah.
and run your
That's
conduit.
I did. Did you ask them why they put a 3/4 inch adapter on there?
I never asked them. They could have went half inch. I'd have been happy.
Yeah, I mean, what's the? It's not like on like an Omron or like an EMX
Mhm.
IRB RET where you have the possibility where you could run 7, 8 conductors out of it. You're not running any
Yeah.
more conductors out of it. It's already sealed, so
Yeah.
it's another buck for you to put. It's a little bit more than
Mhm.
that, but on top of that, you have to always have that dang reducer on it. So the ones that you've installed, have you actually put conduit on it
Yeah, we had to put
on
a
the new one?
reducer on. Yeah,
You put a
we
reducer
done
and then
that.
put half inch.
Well, I think we did that one time. We put a reducer. We went to flex conduit or something like that.
Yeah, well, that's what I did. My recommendation was as well too, but that flex connector that goes
Yeah.
has threaded on one side and then goes into non-metallic flex. It it's actually the ones that they were using was too big.
Yeah.
So you actually had to screw it out a little bit so it would still fit under the bracket. But you
Hmm.
know the life and times of a gate operator tech, man. You know we go through all
Yeah.
this crazy stuff. So
Oh yeah.
um, what's new in DJ Evers' world, man?
Oh man. Man, I've got a couple bookings coming up with my DJing gig.
Oh
One of
yeah.
them's with Sean King in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, at his retreat.
Oh wow. So that means you're gonna go all the way out there just to DJ an hour and come back, or you gonna stay for the whole thing?
I'm gonna stay for the whole thing. We're gonna have a little live music the whole time we're there, and gonna let them use my PA and stuff like that. And yeah, we're gonna have a good time, sing karaoke, DJing whatever songs they want to request and hear. If they want to sing karaoke and do some dancing, and we'll do all that and have a good time and show them what I do live.
There you go. If anybody requests Too Smooth Operator or Smooth Operator by Sade, then you know it's me. Then I'm gonna be there. But I don't have any plans to. But it's still a couple of months away. So we'll see
Yeah,
all those guys on the fence cruise here coming up in
yeah.
a couple of days, couple of weeks, I guess.
Hmm.
You still gonna go to the fence cruise?
Oh yeah, I'm paid for that. I got to go. Not let
Yeah,
something emergency happen. But yeah, I'm going.
yeah. I didn't realize how close it was to the classes that we got going up for the Finch University, but everything is booked and ready to go for the Finch University.
Hmm.
Anybody wants to come out? You're not gonna make it for that one, are you? Because you had
No,
said okay.
I won't be able to.
Because I know we were
No.
talking about you being in town possibly for that DJ Expo that's going on over at South Point.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'll be able to make that or not.
Gotcha. So you're just going to go straight to Fence Tech.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I can't still can't figure out whether I'm going to drive or go up there, but for anybody that's interested in sponsoring Robert or I for Fence Tech, we are going to be out there doing stuff live in the field. I guess it would technically be in the expo. We need to come up with a whole nother category that's in the expo.
Yeah.
But we'll be doing our live event, and we've already got a couple of videos requested that we're going to be doing live from a couple of people's booths. If anybody's interested in sponsoring that, you can
Mhm.
see it right there. But we finally got the schedule ironed out for that class out in California. It's going to be at JC Gurry. If anybody's interested in going to it, I think we're about halfway full, but we are absolutely 100% capped at 20 people. We cannot do more than 20 people. So we still got a few weeks left for that. And we sold 7 tickets last week. So anybody interested in going to that, they go to thefinchuniversity.com, scroll down to where you see this flyer right here, and there'll be a register link right
Yeah.
below that. So, man, I didn't have much stuff going on. The consulting part of it slowed down a little bit last couple of weeks, and then I've got one. I've got a private classes coming up in January, so I actually relied on you this week to help me out
Yeah.
in the field. So I knew that you had put in a lot of LA 400s,
Mm-hmm.
and one of previous clients, he had called me up, was having a problem with the dual LA 400. So I ran him through up and down all the stuff that he had to do. I went through setting the limits, and
Yeah.
I think there was a problem with the him setting the limits, because I believe he was holding the open limit and close limit down until it went beep 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 beep, which I believe clears it out. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. It clears it out
Gotcha. So when you're setting the limits, you just press it together once and then let
and
go.
release. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, anyways, what was happening is when he was going to set the secondary limit, and this was one where he just had a primary control board and no
Mm-hmm.
secondary control board, because I've never installed it like that, but
Yeah.
I'm aware that you could have two control boards. Have you ever done that where there's basically two
Mm,
singles and you're, yeah, because
no,
I
I
can't
don't do
imagine.
that.
Yeah, I can't imagine that it's very cost effective. But by the way, if anybody's listening in right now, we got a couple people viewing it. You can actually come on the show if you want, in the link in the description on Facebook and YouTube, and you can add your comments down at the bottom. So I went through running the limits, and I'm very particular when I'm doing that. Basically instructions over the phone. I got to tell people, like, look, this is how I need you to
Yeah.
answer me, and I don't need any extra information. So sure enough, 45 minutes goes by, and I'm like, I cannot figure it out, man. I wish you wouldn't laugh at it, because it was kind of embarrassing, but it just is what it is. So 45 minutes went by. I was like, hey, well, let me call Robert real quick and let me ask him if there's anything I'm missing, because I thought it was maybe just leaving the switch in
Yeah.
the wrong position,
Mhm.
or I had been told at one point in time on some of their sliders, or not on some of their sliders, but on a slider that I was working on, that the guy who was helping me out set the limits from LiftMaster told me that he wanted the gate all the way closed. So I don't know if there's anything to that. So I ran him through a couple of different scenarios,
Yeah.
and now I'll hand it over. I'll hand it over to you. So I called you and asked you for your help,
Yeah.
and give everybody a rundown of what you what you did.
Well, you were on the phone, and so you're not there. So, and you were doing your protocols just like I did. I did the same thing you did. We went through them. I said, open the gate halfway, kill the power, cut it back on, make sure everything's open and smooth and all that. And then he got set one limit, and the error code come up. I believe I can't remember exactly 37 or something like that. And I was like, "What's that number mean?" It was like motor torque or something like that. And
Yeah.
I said, "Well, that's not right. That's not good. If that means that." And I started immediately thinking the gate was so heavy that it was too small. And I was like, "What size is the gate?" There's 16-foot leaves. Well, you're pushing it with a 16-foot leaf on a
Uh
400.
huh.
Which It'll do it, but you're pushing it. And then he said something about the wheel. I was like, I said, you got to take that off. And then I was like, well, is the gate going to hang without those wheels? If not, you're going to have to put a truss rod on it, or you're going to have to get the hinge cocked up a little. You're going to have to do something.
Yeah.
And so, and then you like, Robert, I got it now. If I would have known that, I wouldn't have called you, so if you would have had that information. But, and, these guys, they don't know everything about it, and they think a wheel's on, oh, that's no problem, it's rolling. But the problem with that wheel on a swing gate like that is that it's putting drag on the operator, and
Hmm.
also it's it can steer a different direction too. There's no stability in direction when you got a wheel on a swing gate like that. And
What does that mean? That the wheel could actually be trying to push the
yeah,
opposite
it
direction
can
that it
go.
needs to go?
It's uncontrollable because when it goes on the curve, it's going to move
Okay.
over. Because see, like you got the wheels that go on a V groove. Well, they got a V groove there, and there's a purpose for that V groove to keep that wheel going straight.
Gotcha.
keep it
Or
going
to
straight.
follow the track. Yeah.
The follow track, and then if you
Yeah.
didn't have that V groove on it, it can take it. If it was a slide gate, it'll take it and move it out to the left or right.
Okay.
So
All right. Well, that makes sense. Um, so you didn't jump on the video part of it, but to go
no,
back a little bit further. So as soon as that should have been the first question that I asked, but I thought it was more simple than that. And like I said
yeah,
before, I think they still had a programming problem because they were holding down the open and stop for too long when they were programming the
yeah,
secondary gate. So they were clearing all the limits out. And one of the ways that I felt that was an issue was that it said that the system won't work if you have two limits, if you have the primary limit set and the secondary limits not set properly. So and then that would show in the two lights for your open limit and closed limit, they would be solid. They wouldn't be flashing fast or slow or
yeah.
anything like that. So anyways, I figured that was simple enough. So I got him to get the gates in closed position, blah blah blah. So but going on to where you were able to figure the problem out, which I could not, I had asked, I'm not sure if I asked it while you were on the phone. I said, well, what do the hinges look like? Are they the
Yeah,
farm
you
hinges?
asked about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, man, even pedestrian gates that are in these commercial applications where you have any kind of alignment, like for a push bar and a door strike or a latch for a lock, those adjustable chain link hinges, I would
Yeah.
never ever use. Just use a barrel hinge. They're probably no more expensive and they're probably easier to install. You already got your welder out there,
Yeah.
building all the stuff for the pedestrian gate. So, anyways, I asked that. And then I did a video call with him when I hung up from you, and I even still had it in the back of my mind because we were giving him a hard time about asking him. I'm like, are you sure that you're not talking about 2 8-foot leaves? And it's a 16-foot opening, man. It was. Hopefully, I'm gonna text them. Maybe we'll bring it up on
Yeah.
the next show, so you can see pictures. It was 2 16-foot farm
Yeah.
gates that were right next to each other.
He got one of them good customers.
Got one of them good customers. Well, how's it a good customer?
Can you throw this on for me?
Yeah, there you go. So, anyways, he did have 2 16-foot gates, and they were farm gates. So, real quickly, I looked at the weight and the length of the gate, and just even in general, man, when you start talking about a 15-foot long gate, we're talking about taking extra precautions, whether it be another support post for the hinge post, or possibly putting 2 horizontal members off the bottom of the hinge post, or tying it into the drive to give it
Yeah.
more support. So, anyways, I was like, first of all, you're always going to have problems with these wood hinge posts.
Yeah.
And I still see this all the time where people get, because we pay attention to how many views we're getting on Facebook and how many views we're getting on YouTube and all that stuff. So I do a little research. I'm like, all right, what's popular in the automatic gate world right now? And you see these things getting 1 million views that have wood hinge posts, all the operator hardware's bolted to the wood.
Yeah.
So I'm not a wood expert, but I would just imagine any
Well-
kind of natural material that you're just screwing into over time, it's just gonna, I mean, it's just vibrating all day, all day. So,
Well,
anyways,
the next LA 400 I'm putting on is going to be on a wood post and a
Oh, is
farm
it?
gate. Yeah.
okay. And you're just gonna bolt the actuator arm, support arm to the gate
Yep.
or to the hinge post.
To the hinge post. Yeah, I'm going to
Now, how are you gonna-
there.
How are you gonna do that?
I'm going to just bolt it onto the wood post.
Are you gonna bolt it all the way through?
Yeah, I'm going to bolt it all the way through, and then I'll put a lag screw in it, and then it'll stay tight, and then he'll have to watch it or to make sure it don't loosen up, which it won't when you do that. But
Oh,
you know,
it won't. It won't when you do what? When you go all the way through the post, or when you put the
when
lag
you go all
through?
the way through the post and you tighten it down real good, put 2 bolts to it, and then you can take a lag screw and with the washer and screw it in there, and that bracket won't move.
And that lag screw is basically to prevent it from twisting because when you go all the way through, it's not a tight fit, or you can't get it
Yeah,
through there. Gotcha.
yeah.
Do you ever sleeve those bolts or anything so it doesn't
No,
wear on the?
no, no.
Okay, gotcha,
It's drill a hole and go. This
gotcha.
is
So
this is the low end market. And then I sold the job, and then he wants me to move the two posts, and I said, well, that's going to cost more. He wants me to bring my auger, and I said, well, I got to go out there and look at it now before I get started. And
mhm.
so he's wanting wood posts. I said, I can put you some 4-inch schedule 40 posts there. He's like, no, just I got wood. That's what I said. All right. So I'm gonna do whatever they say they want, and I'm gonna put it in. And then when the sun hits it and warps it up, maybe he'll say, hey man, can you come put a steel post in for me?
Well, that's what I told him. So going back to looking at the specs for the LA 400, it has a 16-foot spec on it. But
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah,
when you're putting those long gates in, man, you're gonna have to do a heavy wall, minimum 4-inch post. I mean, I guess technically you could do a solid 2-inch post, which would probably be stronger than a 4-inch post. But anyways, for practical purposes, what I generally see is 4-inch and 6-inch, but primarily
yeah,
in Texas, 4-inch post. You just
yeah,
do a quarter-inch, heavy-inch wall. That gate's not that heavy, but I would pop it out just a little
yeah,
bit to let that
yeah,
hinge post settle a little bit. Also, because in Texas it's really, really popular, which is where this service call was at, to put those driveway gates right off where the water runoff is. So he gets any heavy rain, and depending upon how that ground is saturated, even though he's 20 foot back from that, he's got to make sure that he goes 4 foot deep.
yeah,
So I told him to buy a 24-foot stick, quarter-inch wall, 4x4, and cut that thing in half. Get that thing down in there, 5 feet in the ground, and bell it out on the bottom, and you should be good. Those gates aren't that heavy, and then I told him maglock.
yeah.
And if there's one thing that everybody has agreed on with the LA 500 is a maglock. Got to do a
Hmm.
maglock.
Well,
So
any of them actuator arms, you need to have a mag lock on it.
That's one thing about the design of the Patriot is, and
Mhm.
same thing with the older Apollos. I don't know about the Titan, but I think the Titan is a similar design. The way that those things are, if you can grab the middle of the gate on a horizontal beam that goes from the edge of the gate to the edge of the gate,
Mhm.
you could be in really good shape. The other thing
Mhm.
that you do is do a latch post stop, and you
Yeah,
actually run that gate into that stop and plus a little bit more.
yeah,
So it takes all that slack out of the arm and all
yeah,
that stuff.
yeah. I
But
do that with the actuator arms. Is I weld a little stop where it hits it, and if I have a mag lock on too, I still have that stop on it sometimes. What
yeah,
sometimes that's what the
ultimately the
mag
Mac.
lock is
Yeah,
is the stop.
yeah. I need to. While we're talking about that, let me see if I can find a good picture of a maglock. But yeah, I uh, I rarely require a mag lock unless it's on those LA 400s and the 500s. I don't put
Hmm.
in that much
Hmm.
anymore. But yeah, so mag lock's got to be it. And the thing that's scary about a mag lock, and I don't know about for you, but I mean, it's not a 2 hour install. I don't bolt anything on. I weld everything on, and that
Mm. Well,
takes time.
well, I'm doing the low end market stuff. Lowered my standards to get
Mhm.
this low end stuff, so I screw them on. Or I have a bolt and I'll run it all the way through the gate, tighten it up. And the only purpose for these magnetic locks is for wind resistant and keeping it shut. Now, I'm pretty sure somebody come by and drop kick it and break the bracket and all that, but this is the low end market, so I got these aluminum brackets that
Mhm.
screw onto the post and screw onto the gate, and it's quick and easy.
Yeah, well, and what are you anticipating lifespan out of those 3 to 5 years?
No,
If
longer than that.
if everything's right.
Yeah, when that gate's opening up, working correctly, and the geometry's right on, I don't see no issue with it. Other than it could probably break real easy if it was vandalized. So
Gotcha. Well, yeah, and what do you use it for mag locks? I've been installing those Seiko Alarm um, mag locks,
I believe
and
it's FEXX. I believe
okay,
X. You
I'll
know
have
what
to
I'm
check
talking
those
about?
out.
Yeah,
Um,
they're made for doors.
oh, are they? They're made for doors.
Hmm.
So my question is, does that mean they're interior rated?
No, they're exterior.
They're exterior. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a Seiko alarm that my dealer in Texas sells. It's exterior rated
Hmm.
maglock. Now their door strikes, I'm 50-50 on them. They're economical.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
about a third of what all the other people's are, but that exterior grade maglock,
yeah,
I like it because it has fittings in there to terminate all your wires,
yeah.
and then everything's sealed. The
What I
wires
like
sealed.
about the one that we started using, it has a little cover on it. You take the little cover out, and it has two wires on it.
Okay,
And I take the two wires out, and I just run my wire straight into it, and it's a 12-volt uh, power. Um,
do you power it
and then
off
I
the
just
board, or
take
do you just use a
no,
separate? The
I
power
always
supply
use
comes
a. You
with
have to use a separate power
transformer.
supply
Gotcha.
on that LA 400, and then and it's got a plug for it right there. It's got two plugs on the LA 400, so you can just plug it in the bottom below that bottom adapter, and then run your mag lock to it. Run it to the lock. Run your common to the common. Your positive to the adapter, and boom, it works. And then I take some. I got some sealant, gray sealant, or clear, like caulking, and I caulk up the seal it up good where no moisture get in it and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, here's let's see if it might take a second for everybody for it to pull up for everybody, and it also might not come up at all. So let me know when you see that picture on there, Robert.
Yeah, I
Uh,
see it.
so this was a dual LA 500, and
Yeah.
in the middle has that mag lock.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see if I can find a better picture of it than that. But if you take a look, I weld that thing. This one, it it was this. So this was the exact reason why I stopped selling the LA 500, because this was a common gate for us to install, and people love
Mm-hmm.
the LA 500 because it's quiet. It's got the MyQ.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the reset button on the outside of the box,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
I don't agree with this, but I don't care about what I like. I care about what the customer says, and
Mm-hmm.
the customer says that they like the design of this arm better, just as far as the looks,
Yeah.
as opposed to LA 500 when I show it to them. So, anyways, if that's what you like, then that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Because LiftMaster is really pushing advertisement. So people are going on the internet and they're seeing LiftMaster pop up over everything else.
oh, are they?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
Oh,
can
wow.
sit on YouTube and watch my YouTube stuff like I do, and you'll see our advertising LiftMaster, and they'll have their different styles of gates, operators, and stuff. And I'm saying, they're in the game to sell it, and so people can go online and say, I want to. I've got a 12-foot single gate in LA 400. They can buy it off the internet and have it delivered to their home, and then they'll call me to go install it.
Yeah, that's probably a conversation for another time, man. But just in general, what's your opinion of that, and does that affect your parts warranty?
It does not affect the parts warranty from the
No.
factory.
Yeah, not from the factory, but you personally, do you still warranty the parts if they buy it themselves?
Yeah,
You
because
do.
I'm gonna make money. I'm not gonna turn money down. You don't never leave money on the table. That's where a
Well,
lot
I
of people
mean,
go wrong.
I'm just simply saying that you're technically not making any money when when the gate operator is sold because you're not selling it to them. And then the second thing is, um, uh, if you go out there and warranty the part, you just have your labor into it and that's it. Not
Hmm.
that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, because
Hmm.
labor's got a good profit margin in it,
Yeah.
but that's that gate. And this particular gate, um, was the downfall for me installing the LA 500s because we put the gate operators up one day and then I was like, I'll come back and do the mag locks the next day, and then by the
Hmm.
next day these arms were already broken.
Were they?
So oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, look at the gate.
Oh
I mean,
yes, it's a
you
wind
got,
barrier.
yeah, you got a big sale right there. So and that just happened one too many times, and I
Mm.
just had to deal with it. Are you putting mag locks on solar? Is what Kevin says, and I would say my solar installs are probably about, I'm just gonna guess and say 1 to 2% are solar for me, and that's commercial and residential because um I do commercial solar as well too.
Yeah.
So, what about you, Kevin? What are you putting up? Are you putting up solar for commercial, residential, and so on? So, what's up with you, Robert? Are you doing Maglocks with solar?
I don't recommend solar panel here where I live at.
Gotcha. You're outside of the full time Sun Belt.
Yeah, I mean, every everyone that I replace, they want power. They want it to work all the time. I mean, like he's saying, look, you got a mag lock that's going to hold 12 volts of power, or 28 volts of power,
Yeah,
or
12 or
24,
24.
whatever,
Yeah.
and they're going to hold it the whole time, and that's going to drain your battery down. And you got clouds coming over blocking the sun. It's not going to charge the battery. The battery's going to go dead, and then you're going to get a call. My gate's not working. But if you don't have a mag lock on it, it's not going to affect you. So it's not going to pull your power down. Like the photo eyes, they got them now. When the gate closes, photo eyes shut down, and that's for
Yeah.
solar panels.
So I guess to answer Kevin's question, it would probably be more so that we're not saying don't install a locking device. We're just saying install one that doesn't require full-time power. So in that case, like a solenoid lock,
Yeah,
where it's
yeah,
only engaging
yeah,
um, that one time to get power, and then for the rest of it, it's physically blocking it, so
yeah.
it doesn't need power.
You got
So,
the we call them bulldog locks.
oh
That
yeah.
that has a key, and it's only used whenever you hit the button to open. So
So Kevin, that's probably what your question was: is are you doing any mag locks on solar? Well, power is the big issue when it comes to all that. So
yeah.
you got to be really careful when you're doing that. But it's all
Also,
numbers. It's
yeah.
all numbers.
Also, whenever you're reading the book and it says if you're hooking the photo eyes up, you got the relay wires you're gonna hook up. Then you got the green and white wire that goes to your negative and positive to the power. But if you're using solar panel, it says not to hook them two wires up. Why?
Say that again.
You're not supposed to hook the heater up when you're
Oh,
using solar
gotcha.
panel.
Yeah, because that's all it is a constant load on the battery. That
Yeah.
the most heaters, just like a toaster, just like a room heater, all it is just a resistor that converts electricity to heat. In some cases, we actually don't want to take advantage of that. We're trying to get rid of heat as much as possible. But in those types of situations, that's exactly what we're doing. They just put a small
Hmm.
little resistor, so it
Yeah.
has a constant load on it. And I still don't know I just still don't know of anybody that's 100% said yes, I'm doing everything with the heater on there. Have you had any feedback on heaters in the Photo Eyes?
I love them.
Do you? And
Yes.
you're doing that on a retro reflective or on a through beam photo eye or both?
For the LiftMaster product,
Mm-hmm.
I do right now it comes with the reflector, so that's what I'm doing. And if they want to step it up and they want a through beam, I hook them up too, and I hook the heaters up on them because of the fog and the rain, and it limits the chances of it staying open and getting fog in it.
And just to clarify for everybody, Robert has said that he doesn't get that much snow.
No.
And I know a lot of people that are out there in the climates, Minnesota, Cleveland, Minnesota, Ohio, where they get a lot of snow, where the heaters aren't helping them, and they're having to go to through beams. So
Yeah.
if anybody's doing
Yeah.
that, so mag locks on solar,
Yeah.
just go with the solenoid lock and call it a day.
Yeah. Because we would normally use through beam, but I'm doing this low end market, so I'm using whatever comes with it. I'm putting it
Yeah,
in, and then if it messes up, I'm like, hey, we got another option here
yeah,
later
yeah.
down the road.
And for you guys that are in those markets, I mean, that's just is what you got to do. I've been lucky enough that my career was in a market that we didn't have to worry about any of that. It was never cost wasn't necessarily the biggest factor. What was important was for our customers not to have to deal with it. And I would probably say, less than 5% of the time, or right around 5% of the time, people already had a bad experience with the gate operator
Yeah.
that nobody listening to this would install.
Hmm.
I'm sure everybody knows the brands, but mainly just because it just wouldn't last. So my customers always wanted that. I don't want to have to deal with the time that I'm dealing with you saying, can you come over and look at the gate? Something's happened, is less time that I can go out and make money. And that's how a lot of my customers looked at it.
Hmm.
Now here in Las Vegas, what I've heard from the people that I've done consulting for has been residential is almost non-existent.
Yeah.
Uh, Even in the high-end homes,
Yeah.
you're seeing the Amazon products.
Yeah.
And what I'm
See,
seeing,
I got
what
a
I'm
mixture of both.
do
Like
you?
it's kind of like the low end, the high end, and then they'll kick around a little bit, and you know, you kind of got to get the feel for it. So, but we're just trying to figure out what can we do to make it safe and to make it work with no problems when we get done with it, so we don't get some callbacks, and tell them when we inform them what are other options and what's better quality operators and stuff. We inform them on all this stuff, and if they choose the low end, they choose the low end. So
Yeah, and I recommend everybody building their own little sales book. I mean, the equipment to do a binding in your office is so easy, and even if you just staple them together with the industrial stapler, and they're inexpensive enough. Manufacturers give you enough marketing material to where you can use their material and then use your language to build those things to give them to the customers, and you got a good, better,
hmm
best scenario. And in my opinion, what's yours, Robert? At that stage, you can easily look yourself in the mirror in the morning and go, I told them that these were
yeah,
their
yeah,
options and this was what they picked.
yeah. hmm
Yeah. So, anyways, that's, I guess, just goes along with how you're gonna hunt down the right customer and then give the language to the right
yeah.
customer. So, one of the things we were working on this week over here in Las Vegas, I was helping Brian Fredrickson at Defense University. He's coming up with some new programs for fence installers. to get into gate operators where there's a higher margin, you're already on the job, you've already got the trucks, and the training is becoming, especially the training that we've been doing, is becoming a lot more affordable. We've got private classes that are going on too at the Finch University, so we could train you on 90% of the gate operators that you'll come in contact with, but mainly we'll train you on the 20 big things that you run into on the service side of it. So you install fencing and gate operators.
Yes.
And it's always been like that in your business. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So I know you've done some private consulting as well. You just recently are still working with a customer that's not too far from you, who is a fencer getting into gate operators.
Yes.
So when you were talking to him and having these initial conversations, what were his hesitations, and once you got out there and now that you've gone past the initial visit, what are you finding are the obstructions? So during the initial conversation, what were your clients' concerns?
The experience. He hasn't had too much experience installing them. He went to the school for the AFA, and he had his theory down great. I mean, it was good. He knows what the loops do. He knows what the photo eyes do. He knows how high to set them. All that. So that's the good part of it. He just needed somebody to help him, and so I told him, I've got 25 plus years doing this stuff and servicing and all that, and I can just show you my experience with it and show you how to do the safety loops, the photo eyes, hooking up keypads, running your wires, setting your motor mounts, all that. Can show you all the trade secrets to it, and you got to be repetitive with it and do the same thing over and over, and then you'll get better at it. And but he's in a good market because he has a good fencing business. I think he got like 4 crews.
There you go.
King Fencing and Deck in Knoxville, Tennessee, Oscar, and he's
A
doing.
little shout out to Oscar in
Yeah,
Tennessee.
man, he's
Yeah,
going to
that's
come on the podcast. I told him he's got to come on the podcast. So
as part of his client services that's
yeah,
offered. You got to come on. Well, good, because I'd love to hear from him, because fencers. I just think that there's. You tell me this. Well, first of all, on your fencing side of your business, what are you doing? What materials are you installing on the fencing side?
mostly chain link and aluminum uh, fencing for pools and yards, and a little bit of vinyl privacy. And I don't hardly do any wood. Every now and then I do wood, but mainly commercial, industrial, and then a little bit of residential. Which I'm gonna try to get some more residential this year coming up. Um, but whenever my big clients are calling, I put them first and go do that work.
Hey, Kevin, I see your post here. I'm going to get to it in just a second. Give me 1 second. Kevin had some more comments about the LA500 that he was putting electric lock on. So when we're talking about fencers getting into gate operators, it is hard and it's easy. It's as hard as you want to make it. If you're going to think that, if you're going to think that you need to hire some genius that knows these electrical and electronic, all this information is getting easier and faster to access. On the East Coast, it's kind of tough because a lot of the manufacturers are here on the West Coast, and Automatic's been shut down earlier, and a couple of these other guys shut down pretty early. But that's what me and you are for, so we can be accessed. Just like I accessed you on Friday night to tell me that I was an idiot about those LA400s. That's the first question you asked. It made me so mad. It's like, how long are the gates? It's like, oh well, that could have solved it right there. So, so I don't see in the fence business, and I was going to mention wood, and you're saying you're not doing that much wood. I mean, how much reoccurring revenue is there? Are these customers literally just one and done, and you never
My
see them for 10 years?
customers, the majority of my customers, for 30 years, call me back or call us back. So we have built our own little system where it seems like it goes in a circle. Same customers will call back. But
So
we get new ones all the time. We do jobs all the time. But when COVID happened, that's what we definitely relied on was our circle of customers that kept coming back around. And I didn't have the help because all my guys, a lot of them guys quit during the COVID happened, and then it was just me and one person, and so I done a lot of electric gate stuff and done a little stuff, and then next thing you know, I was doing industrial stuff for keeping people separated at their jobs for breathing on each other. I mean, I did a lot of that, and
oh yeah.
so
So those customers that you're talking about though, would you say that they're more on the commercial level as far as the repeat customers as
it's
opposed
but
to residential?
it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I would be curious what that cycle is between calls, because let's say you put in, pardon me, aluminum fence around my pool. I mean, what am
Hmm.
I going to call you for? It gets a
Well,
gate gets out adjustment.
if the tree falls on it and they
Gotcha.
got to get it fixed, and then they want to take it down and move it, add more to it. There's all kind of different scenarios, and then they refer people to us, and then it's the way it goes. It, it, you do a good job and quality service, and it comes back around. And all them three LA 400s
Yep.
that I sold were all three repeat customers from 20 years ago.
Gotcha. So that's really that's the answer to the question that I wanted, was in those life cycles of a customer, for a fencing job that you're doing iron, chain link, vinyl,
Hmm.
and so on. There's no reoccurring monthly revenue. I mean, you don't have the ability to call the customer up in 6 months and go, oh, I got a new X, they're now putting everything on this app, or they're now doing this. And by the way, Kevin, I just put a link in the descriptions on Facebook and YouTube. If you want to jump on with this, you can, and you don't
Yeah,
have to
Kevin.
show. Yeah, you don't have to show your screen if you don't want to. You could just talk to us just by voice. So, anyways, see, that's the thing with fencers getting into gate operators. With gate operators, the reoccurring monthly revenue is built in. Now,
That's what I love.
in the LA 400, let's go for not necessarily the worst case scenario, but I'll just call it the worst case scenario right now. You got an LA 400, customers on a budget, everything's bolted on, no extra remotes or keypads or anything like that. That particular customer is not likely to sign a service agreement to where you're out there every month, every
Yeah.
quarter,
Hmm.
or every six months.
Yeah.
Ain't going. It's not going to happen. However, that guy who does the gate or that guy who does that gate operator just by itself on a budget, they're ripe for 90 days. Hey, I know you didn't want the keypad on the inside of the property as well too, so you
Hmm.
could get out with the
Yeah.
keypad. Would you like that? I'll be in the neighborhood. So you give them half off on the labor, full price on the keypad, and
Yeah.
there's nothing in fencing that's going to do that. What are you
Hmm.
going to do? Say, hey, I'm going to come by and put more nails in the wood, you know? So that's
Yeah.
with the gate operators. I
Yeah.
really want people that's out there doing fences to understand that it's not that hard. So here's what Kevin was talking about. He said it had a solar LA 400 with a 24 volt electric lock. So I'm kind of curious, is that a mag lock, Kevin, or is it a solenoid lock? That wouldn't unlock sometimes. It will work a bunch of times, then barely trip, the latch not unlocking, and then the gate would try to open against the lock and it triggers reverse. I apologize, Kevin, the whole description doesn't go in there. So the rest of that is, and then the gate would try to open against the lock. I told the customer he needed power, so the end of the driveway, power to the end of the driveway for the mag lock. Bill McCoy said, The striker latch probably draws too many amps.
Yeah.
So he had some more information. It'd be good if you could jump on here, Kevin. All right. So first of all, let me address this. So just real quickly, I'm going to recap what Kevin was saying. He had LA500 24 volt electric lock, and based on what he's saying, is assumes on solar. Kevin, if you could confirm that, it would it'd work a bunch of times, barely trip the latch unlocking, and then the gate would try to open against the lock until it triggers the stop reverse. Okay, so. And then he says, I told the customer he needed power at the end of his driveway for the mag lock. All right. So if you think about it logically, the mag lock not releasing is the opposite of not having enough power.
Yeah.
If you don't have any power, it's going to release. So if you're telling your customer that you need direct power, all right, that and then that will somehow fix it. If anything, the power is going to be, just thinking of a word, more substantial, and it would actually hold on to the lock even harder. All right, so here's what happens with electric mag locks. Just real quick, I'll try not to bore anybody, mainly you, Robert, but a magnetic lock is like the other stuff that we deal with. It's a coil of wire. We put electricity to it, and it creates a magnetic field. Well, that magnetic field can then create an attraction to the opposite polarity of the armature plate, and that's what the attraction is. However, there's this problem that we have, and sometimes we can take advantage of it, sometimes we can't. And this is one of the cases where we're not taking advantage of it, and it's called hysteresis. Hysteresis is the process of a device having an electrical current through it and not immediately turning off because of but because it was turned on before. So there's a little bit of magnetic field that holds on to that latch just because it's trying to, if you will, dissipate through that magnetic field. And if anybody wants to look it up, it's called hysteresis, and you can look up a hysteresis loop. Now, what we do in a magnetic lock is we basically do a device that will bleed that energy off really quickly. And it's called there's a couple of different ways to do it, but generally you'll see it as a metal oxide varistor or a MOV, and you put that across there, and when it needs to absorb that energy, it will. So it's quite possible that you could get that fixed by depending upon what it's actually doing, I'm just assuming it, by putting a diode or metal oxide varistor or a resistor across it so it bleeds that energy quicker. So just keep that in mind. There is the possibility that you have too good of power, and now that everybody's asleep and I've seen the viewership go down next to nothing, I'm going to stop boring y'all with it, but I would be concerned that it's not drawing necessarily too many amps. It's that it's not demagnetizing quick enough by bleeding that energy out of the mag lock. So anyways, he had a little bit more information. Had kind of the same issue on an LA400. Mag lock draws so much it's killing the batteries. Installed a solenoid, but the striker latch was difficult to get to latch properly, and it was a colossal windy environment. Ended up running power from the house on one and count with the mag latch. So sorry, guys, you can't see all the bottom of what's in there, but we're cutting the characters off. And then he put solenoid lock on there, so it was probably something that was probably what he was referring to in the earlier question. So anyways, don't necessarily think that it's a power issue. It really could be that the magnetic field is holding on to that energy in that coil and not releasing right away. And that's one of the reasons why you've seen newer ones with the equipment already built on, and there's a little bit of delay on there before the gate operator actually sends energy to the motor, because it's recognizing that it needs to release that lock first. Yeah. So but can you think?
It's a power issue to me, because if you're running solar power and you're having problems with it, the whole operation is not getting adequate power probably for it. And then everything, because the way I look at it, everything heats up and cools down, heats up and cools down, heats up and cools down, and
Okay.
then it doesn't have enough power, but it has enough power to work just a little bit, and it opens up. Then the mag lock it still has magnetized, and then you have all them things, and that's what happens when you don't have enough power.
So how would having not enough power have that? Okay, I think I'm following your logic, and it is sound logic, which is when the electronics, the control board, doesn't have
Yeah,
enough
everything.
power,
Yeah,
who knows what could happen?
that's what I'm saying. I
Okay,
had that
gotcha. I got you.
situation this past week where the customer, it was a Viking H10 slide gate operator,
Mm-hmm.
and he said the gate opened up and closed back, and it was acting funny. Well, I went out there. The battery was dead, so that let me know something was wrong with the power. I checked his power, his 124 volt. His breaker was on, but it had no power coming out. So he has to replace the power line, the power. So the gate was acting weird. It was opening up on its own. It was doing all kind of crazy stuff, lights flashing. And then the next day he called me, my gate's not working all. There's no lights. So he ran out of power. And there might have been a little nick in the wire and causing it to
Mm-hmm.
short out and causing that gate to do things that it's not supposed to be doing because it's losing power. And it made the battery drain. And then next
So
thing you know, in that process, while the battery's draining down and while you don't have power, the gate starts having a mind of its own a little bit.
okay. Well, that would be the what we see in practice, and sometimes, guys, the practice is more important than that technical bullshit that I just gave you. But that's very sound logic, and I've seen that. I always tell people if the batteries are low, it's not worth it for you to have a second service call to replace the batteries. If the batteries are low, it could be the control board. And I'm
Yeah,
sorry, Mr. Customer, we put new batteries in and now we found out it's the control board. So now you got to put batteries in again. Maybe don't charge them, hit them twice for the labor or something, but you have to explain that to your customer that look, it could be in the control board because
yeah,
and that's in it's easy to figure this stuff out, guys. Always testing this stuff with the multimeter. It's easy to figure it out what's likely going to happen. There's no guarantees, but if you put those batteries that are off your truck that have been sitting in a boat from China for the last 6 months, and you pull them out and they're 12.7, you plug those batteries into the control board, immediately you should see the output of the control board going up to 27.8, 28 volts. And that tells you that's not coming from the battery because 12.7 times 2 is 25.2. So if you see it going up to 26, 27, you know your charger's working. So putting new batteries in is most likely not going to result in you having to
yeah,
come back out and put
yeah.
new batteries in.
And on this service call that I'm talking about, 2 weeks prior, I had an 850 receiver on the outside, the outdoor receiver,
Yeah.
and it got fried somehow. And I've never had that happen. And so I replaced it with a new one. And then 2 weeks later, it had the power issue. And I think that there was a short in the power line and caused the receiver to burn out somehow, but did not burn the board, anything like that. So I mean, I don't know how it happened. We didn't have no lightning storm or nothing, but the receiver just went out. And so, and then 2 weeks later, he calls me back. The gate's acting funny and it ain't working. Then I went the next day and had no power, and the breaker was on. So
How do you resolve that? So first of all, how do you know that the 850 was bad? Because you replaced it, or you saw something on
it
the
was
board
burnt.
that
It
it was
was
burnt?
burnt.
Okay,
I
so
tried to
then
program it and all that, and it wouldn't do nothing.
so when you first got there on that service call, you tested the power, you had good power, and then
Yeah.
now 2 weeks later, you have not good
Yeah.
power.
Yep.
Okay. So just real quickly, guys, on what Robert's talking about. I don't know how he tested. We're about to find that here in a second. You always want to test with a meter when you have that issue, or you think you're having a power issue. You always want to test your meter when AC voltage in a normal mode, but then you also need to test it in low impedance mode, because that will load the circuit and pull the power down to make sure that it's not a false reading, if you will. Because Robert, you were saying earlier that you thought on the other service call you might have had a nicked wire, and that will help diagnose that really quick. Because you got to keep in mind, guys, it just needs to have a micro hair of connection between a broken wire, and it'll still show you 120 volts. You don't think it's possible, but absolutely it is. As a matter of fact, it's so possible that there doesn't even have to be a connection in the wires you're testing if it's energized in a wire that's next to it. So keep in mind, it's not just testing voltage and walk away.
Well, after all that, I told them I can't do nothing else till you get power out here. And so they ran a drop cord and temporary.
Yep.
And I said, y'all gonna have to. He's gonna have to get electric. They might have to dig it all up and run new conduit and everything. You just don't know.
Yeah, depending upon what the code is and how soft that ground is, man, you go dig 2 feet down, throw that direct burial wire in there, put conduit up on both ends, not even through it. I would always recommend
they got to run conduit because this is a manufacturer.
Gotcha. So, yeah, I was just saying, I'm not saying I know what the code is. I just, having recently looked at what NEC 2017 has said, it said at 2 feet you can run it without conduit. I'm not saying do that. Me personally, I just say spend the extra money in rigid conduit. Go below, just go 6 inches below the drive, and you're good to go. Now, every city's different, so don't take that what for 100% gospel. But the amount of money that you save for having to dig in a rocky area could save you some money. So Kevin added something else. He said, was a solar LA500 12-foot gate with wood privacy. That's a problem. That needed a mag lock. We just talked about that. I pulled the system off until you get 120 volts to the end of the driveway. So yeah, you LA500 on a wood gate. I don't know that I would recommend that so much. Even the gates that I just showed y'all, 8 foot, it was a single drive, so each gate had to be 8 foot tall by 8 foot wide, and they were dead the next day. All it takes is a little bit of wind, and it'll kill those arms.
Yeah, well, this is when you need to really communicate with your customer. Like, hey, this ain't gonna work. You need power because you're going to mag lock. They might want a keypad. They might want an internet gateway system or some kind of way to communicate. If they want all the bells and whistles, they got to have power. And you got to talk to them over and over. But if they want solar, then you do it. I may have to do a solar, eventually.
I don't shy away from solar at all. I mean, there's nothing that you're going to tell me that I can't fix in a solar situation. It's simply math. Now, again, I'm fortunate in the geographic areas I've been in, they've just got tons of sun. So you could still fix that if you're up in Cleveland, Ohio, which has almost if not the most, almost the most cloud coverage per year than any place in the United States. I know that for a reason, but you could easily put a solar application in there that the gate runs open and close all day. But this is what it comes down to: more solar panels, more batteries. And that's all that it is. It's just simple math. So anyways, you could do anything solar that you want. Don't ever shy away from that. Hey, by the way, have you seen the automatic battery holder for those solar applications? It just holds the batteries, but it's got the automatic logo on it and everything.
No, I haven't seen that.
It's pretty slick. I put it on a gate operator, and it actually turned out pretty freaking cool. It just had the batteries in it, and the solar panels ran directly to it, and
Yeah.
that was it. But yeah, you guys don't shy away from those solar applications. They're not just as easy as testing voltage for testing them, but you could easily have somebody like me show you how to test them. And they're getting a little bit more complicated. Robert, you and I were talking about this, I think, the other day. Have you seen these solar panels that actually have the dang controller, the solar controller built in?
No, I haven't seen them.
So on this one here, see that one right there?
Hmm.
Let me know. Is that picture uploaded yet?
Yeah.
All right. So there's that battery box that's in the middle of this.
Hmm.
And you put two 35 amp hour batteries in there, call it a day.
Cool.
And it's coming with two photo eyes now. Automatic makes it so freaking easy. And this box, the guys over here at SAS Las Vegas, they have been so freaking helpful. And I was like, this is going to be a $300 box, isn't it? So I was telling my customer, it's going to be expensive. You guys just might want to make a box for it, as opposed to y'all installing this. This was less than $200.
That's cool.
So, yeah. So anyways, these panels right here had charge controllers built into it. So we didn't even run it through the board.
Oh, okay.
It's literally just running like it has DC power all the whole time. So, but anyways, the solar panel issues, just don't run away from it. And Kevin, if you're still listening, first of all, if you talk to Bill McCoy, I mean, whatever he says, just do it, right? But I am concerned that it's not a matter of the control board freaking out. It's a matter of the actuator, the armature plate on the maglock, and the maglock having the issue. And by the way, Robert, I don't know if you're aware of this, but some of the armature plates, the big fat metal plates on a maglock, have you ever seen how they have like a separate, not through the middle, a little screw, but a separate little screw? Well, that separate little screw has a spring in it.
Yep.
And that spring is meant to push that armature plate off as soon as there's a certain amount of magnetic field that dissipates. So, Kevin, you might have a situation where you might have to go back and look at that magnetic lock. Most of the time, we're trying to get it to line to where we could get enough power to it so it holds, but it will hold even after you turn the power off. So I wonder if you could get an extra couple of seconds of delay out of it if you did the biparting.
I don't.
I'm wondering if it would even recognize that if it didn't have a second arm on it.
I don't know if you have a leaf delay on it, you can delay it. But
okay, I wonder if you could put a leaf delay on a single one. I would imagine it doesn't care whether there's one actuator arm or
as
two.
soon as you hit the open command, it clicks the normally close to open, and then the gate starts to work.
Yeah, that's right. Because if you have it on gate one, it's gonna do the normal procedure.
Yeah.
It's not gonna delay 2 seconds. Yeah. I'm wondering if that's a possibility to switch it over to gate 2, because most of the biparting gates, that biparting setting affects the second gate, regardless of whether it's close to the housing or not.
Well, you have to, whenever you're setting your limits, which one opens up first and closes first, is you better pay attention to that.
Yeah, for the LA 400 and 500.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering. That's interesting. I'm wondering if you could get away with that. Anyways, Kevin, you may want to look at adding an additional metal oxide varistor. It's called a MOV. And if you call the manufacturer who made the magnetic lock, they can give you some tips on that. They may even tell you to add a diode into the system, regardless of fixing this problem or not. But it's quite possible that you may have already damaged the control board if you don't have any kickback diode on there already, which is why in an LA400, I'll pull it up while we're talking about it so I can tell you what page it's on, which is why in the manual it tells you to add a, a diode in there. It's not just for the fun of it. It actually protects the control board. Have you ever had that problem where the input gets blown out on a control board because you had a mag lock or solenoid lock on there?
I've never had that problem. But
Got-
only thing I ever did was like, well, I burnt the mag lock up with the wrong adapter.
Oh, you
So
put a 24-volt one
yeah,
on a
I've
12
done that.
volt one.
Or had the wires the wrong way. Sometimes you got four wires on them, and you had to wire the wires together
Yeah,
in a
to be
certain
able
way to
to.
get 24, 12 volt.
Yeah,
And I've
yeah. The let's see. Have you ever done a double mag lock on a gate?
no, I haven't really done that.
Yeah, it's not something I would go overboard trying to do, man.
Yeah.
I did it on a Patriot, and on that same Patriot that I did it on, um, it it, you have to get everything matched up just right.
Hmm.
So the whole bracket, everything's all custom. But the
Hmm.
second part of that is the um, the uh, the Patriot board actually puts out 12 volts out of it, so you don't even need to supply a power supply to it. So I put
Hmm.
power to it and blew up the board. So
Yeah. Yeah. Now we put a mag lock on a barrier arm gate before.
what? How do
Yeah.
you do that?
Put the heavy part on the latching post, and you got to you have to make your own mounting plate. Make it real thin, and
That's gotta
make
that
it light
there's
as
no
possible.
way there's no way that's in the manual, was it?
Nope, that's Ever's ingenuity. The
I
man
bet.
wanted a lock on the end of that gate because he was tired of people coming up, pulling up on it. But you could still pull up on it and you'll break the magnet. But he had them on there. He don't have them on there no more because we told him it was, you don't need to do that. It wore his operator out.
Yeah, well, if you're putting it all the way at the end, I mean
Yeah.
that 2 pound armature plate probably acted like 20 pounds.
Well, it was a lot. We made a thin plate. It was very thin.
Oh yeah.
Thin. Yeah, it was thin.
Yeah, I can't say that I've ever seen that, but I'm sure if I would have pulled up on it, you would have seen it on my Facebook page the next day.
Who
Yeah,
done
so
this crazy stuff?
I don't see the LA400 having a manual or a something about the magnetic lock, and I searched magnetic lock, Kevin. So I'm sorry for it, but it did actually mention a diode for the solar panels, like a secondary diode. So I hadn't seen that before. Diode. So if anybody has any information about adding a maglock to an automatic gate operator, it'd be nice to know what maglock it was, Kevin, and I could get back to you. I could follow up with the manufacturer and get back to you if you have a question about it, Kevin.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, so that's that. Um, oh, that's the one we were on. So we were talking about right before Kevin jumped in with that extra stuff. We were just talking about briefly about fencers getting into gate operators,
Yeah.
and for you, it's a no-brainer, right?
Oh
Because
yeah.
that's how it's always been.
Yeah.
And what would you say as far as one of your truck Well, I know you carry a trailer too, which I don't know very many people that do. Not that could be the most popular thing in the world. I just don't know very many people that
Well,
do that.
when I'm doing new installs, I'm carrying a trailer because can you hear me? Yeah, I hear
Yeah, I
you.
can hear you. Yeah,
Well,
sorry.
I'm on the new install. I got to carry loops and key pass stands and concrete, so you gotta have a trailer because I got all my truck's got tools on it, and I don't need to pack it down with operators and stuff.
Okay,
So
I
I
get that.
carry a trailer to use as a workbench too, to lay my tools down and stuff like that. It's not big trailers, it's like a 8x6 utility
Open
trailer,
trailer or covered.
open,
Okay,
and
gotcha.
I got toolboxes on them, stuff like that. So
Gotcha. Well, that actually might even make it easier for any fencers that are out there doing it. They
yeah,
just set them a trailer up for new installs or for service, and it don't have to
hmm
be a big trailer.
no,
But that's what I was going to ask you, and that kind of answered it. What would you say if you were going to do fence installations, just like your normal fence, whether it's iron or chain link or
hmm
whatever,
hmm
versus doing gate operator stuff all day? What additional tools, not new installs, because I understand you have to have the gate operator, the loop, but if you were just going to do service on either one of those, what do you think extra on for gate operators that you need?
I just carry my truck because I got loop detectors, extra key pass, extra photo eyes, control wire, conduit, conduit parts on my truck. So, and
Gotcha.
um,
So,
I may
so for
grab if I know what operator it is. I got extra boards. I'll grab a board, put it in the truck just in case the board's blown or something like that. So,
So
um,
my conversations that I've been having with fence companies is not including tools. It's about an additional. You could start off for as little as $2,500 in additional parts, but realistically, you're looking at about $4,000 in additional parts. So that's three or four different control boards. So like obviously a CSL CSW 24 LiftMaster control board, Automatic control board. For me, it was a Patriot control board. So for some of these guys, it's going to be
mhm.
a linear Osco,
Yeah,
Apex
different
boards,
ones.
vice versa, and then all the stuff that you just mentioned. So it's not like it's a tremendous amount, and you could even put those in crates and take them
Yeah.
with you or take them off
Well, you
as
can
you.
buy them Milwaukee toolboxes at Lowe's that has 3 or 4 toolboxes that stack on each other.
Hmm.
Because this is what Oscar does. We set up a toolbox like that for him, where he can
Okay.
have a bunch of stuff in the bottom, in the middle, and stuff on the other. So he's got like a. It's about 3 foot high, but it's 3 different toolboxes, and he can put that in the back of his truck. And then if he's not working with gate operators, he can store it, take it out, and go load up fence, whatever.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like the idea of a trailer. I mean, I haven't seen. I guess you do trailer with toolboxes on the side of it,
Yeah.
and then if you are going to do loops, throw your saw or something like that in there.
Mhm.
But I mean, other than a saw, right? Which I would never buy. I wouldn't. I don't want to run a saw, me personally, for loops and cutting out wires. But other than a saw, there's really not very many big tools that you would need to do gate
No.
operators that you don't already have for fence.
Mm-mm. No, no, you pretty much got everything. Um, now that's a good start in it. And now you're talking about the basics of training somebody. I think they got to know how to hang the gate as a fencer with no supervision.
Would that be something that's by default that fencers know?
Not all of them. Not all of them
Because
can hang gates.
when you say hang gates, you mean just swingers, or you talking about sliders and swingers?
All of them. They got to be able to
Okay.
do all of it. If you want to be a gate technician, you got to be able to hang the gate, um, either bolt the hinges or weld the hinges, either one. And you got to be able to set the posts the right
Okay.
dimension.
All
Got to
right.
be able to level them, set them, and then after you get that down pat, You get the gate swinging whichever direction, sliding. You get all that stuff down pat. Now you got to take the book home and study the book about where the placement is on the slide gate operator, pad mount, whatever, and then where the placement is on the actuator arm on the post. Study that. Get
And when
that
you
down
say
pat.
the book, you mean the owner's manual.
Whichever one you're using, don't matter. They're all basically the same thing. The owner's manual, and
Yeah.
study it. See where the on the actuator arm. The most important thing is where the placement of that operator. On the hinge and on the gate, and learn that. You see, so if it says the back end of the actuator arm's got to be 7 inches from the center of the hinge, that's where it's got to be. And
Yeah,
so
no,
just learn that
no
stuff.
ifs, ands, or buts. Because just like on that service call that I had you help me with on Friday, you could have easily even asked that question right there and busted me
Mhm.
without having
Yeah.
asked that or got pictures.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if I mentioned it, by the way. I did actually get them on a video call, and
Yeah. Yeah. You did.
it was pretty bad. So if you guys take a
Yeah.
look at this picture that's about to pop up, you'll see what Robert is talking about. That there is an angle on these arms that it's not just a matter of just throw it up there and you're good to go. So it'll pop up here in a second. So what he's talking about is that dimension right next to the control box, and where it actually hits on the gate. You can't just throw
Mhm.
that thing up there and call it a day.
Yeah.
They're not designed like that, and that's from the manual.
Hmm.
So is it fair to say that all fencers are going to know how to pour concrete?
Yeah, they should. Um,
Should,
they should know how to pour concrete. But
but
that's
these
something that they'll pick up on, as they
gotcha.
do this.
Yeah, and I don't know that it's that every technician needs to have every discipline. I in my past experiences, I wouldn't do the hinge post or mount the gate. I would do
But
everything else,
yeah,
but I would have another crew do that because you're talking about digging holes, concrete,
yeah.
sand, quick rock, and so on.
Mhm.
But also, I don't like digging holes, so
Well,
is what it is. But
pound them.
there is a discipline pound. Yeah, has anybody ever pounded a vehicle gate hinge post?
Yeah, I've seen them do on SWI. They
Oh yeah,
pounded a cantilever gate and pounded
Can,
the
cantilever gate's way different
and then they
than
pounded the post for the operator.
well that's all different. I'm talking about a
Yeah.
swinger like what we got here.
Um, guy, Texarkana guy. I think he's pounded
Oh
a
yeah,
post.
Keith.
I think he's pounded a gate post.
Okay, we'll have to get him on and ask him because um, cantilever gate, if you're going to pound those posts, that's easy because if you're
Yeah,
as long as you're
yeah,
doing that, as long as you're doing that post an extra foot above what you need, if you start to get sag or movement, you could just move the cantilever wheels and you're good to go.
yeah,
And
yeah.
on these hinges, although there is some manufacturers of hinges that you do have adjustment in, you got a barrel hinge or something like that, which is all I use. You ain't got nothing. You're gonna have to cut the hinge
Yeah,
off and put a wedge in there to start popping that thing out.
yeah. On them big estate gates or with the square tubing post or whatever, they got to be set in concrete. You got to weld the hinges up and all that and hang the gate. But see, you're talking to fencers, and you're not a fencer. You're a technician, so you don't want to dig holes. You want so that's not your responsibility. But as a fencer, and you do all of this, that is your responsibility. Because you're not going to say, "Hey, call the next fence company to come fix this post," and they might work on gate operators too. You can't do that. So you got to
So
do
so
everything in house.
I just want to clarify what I was just simply saying. I would do it with a different crew, that as
Well, you
opposed
could
to
do that if
uh,
you have that.
yeah. Yeah, that is true. But setting these posts really aren't that hard. You just call out, do your dig test, have your private lines marked, make sure you have the appropriate hinge post. And all I ever did was 4 inch hinge posts,
Uh-huh.
with the exception of when the gate was a massive, humongous steel gate. Where we would do 6x6, and then we would do 2 inch studs. Well, that was if it was in a column, and then 2 inch solid tube studs. We
Yeah.
would weld that
Mhm.
out there, and that's where we would weld our hinges to. So, anyways, yeah, just dig the post, bell it out at the bottom, get you a good, at minimum, 36, 40 inches down in there. 4 foot would be great, and call it a day, and just put it just out of level just a little bit, and
Yeah,
let
I
that
always
gate
do
pull.
that.
Yeah, let that gate pull it back down. Now, there's guys like Jeffrey Presbaugh who does. He's out of Weatherford, and it's going to come to Aberdeen Gate. If you type in gate in Pinterest, you'll see their gates. They're just really beautiful. But he does an adjustable hinge, where he has that hinge that's got a little bit. It's got a little bit movement. Here's Logan. Here's one of my previous guys. We do everything start to finish and don't do it any other way. We don't want to rely on anyone else.
Amen.
So, well, you got to keep in mind he's from Ohio. That really doesn't count. Those guys up there, they don't know what they're doing.
Oh Lord.
Oh, done started some trouble now.
Yeah, you gonna
No,
be in trouble tomorrow.
him and his brother don't seem like they get rattled too easy. So I would imagine them attacking it like that is probably not that big of a deal for
Yeah.
them. But that's all that it is. I mean, I
But
could do it, you
yeah.
know.
Well, you
I
don't
just don't.
have to. You don't have to. You
Yeah.
know, I don't do sometimes I don't do the loops. I don't tote the concrete. I get the guys, I line them up, and they start doing it. I got my crew where they can near about set one up.
Well, I was just saying that, oh, Logan's got something else. We might not know what we're doing, but we can figure it out. Well, hell, you perfect for the gate
Duh.
business. You perfect for the gate business, Logan. Yeah, you're hired. No, I'm just giving you a hard time, Logan, just because I know you. So I'm just joking around, of course.
Yeah.
But the other thing is too is to set a post. And granted, there's a lot of material in the steel. Obviously, is probably the biggest expense, and the hinges, and then the labor to put it in. I mean, you easily for me to reset a post, it's just under $1,000. So there is a lot of money to be made right there. So don't shy away
Mhm.
from it if you can do it, but don't cheap out on it either. I mean, we use that 6,000 psi cement, and we mix it really good. We don't just throw it in there and then put water on it, even though you can do that. And then we bell out the bottom. And I mean, when we're talking about, depending upon the size of the gate, you're talking a metal frame for wood, board on board. It's going to have to be minimum 40 inches in the ground. So you
I
do a
got
lot of chain link and stuff. How deep are you going on your hinge posts?
3.5 feet.
3.5 feet.
Gotta
Gotcha.
leave gates like 3 feet, and I take a set screws and screw into it, and when the concrete goes around it, and the set screw kind of keeps the post from coming up like it would anyway. But I do that for reinsurance, and then about 3 feet, 3.5 feet deep, and you put a good solid 12-inch around diameter hole at least.
Gotcha.
And where I'm at, it's sufficient enough to hold a 6 foot, 7 foot cantilever gate. Now, if you get in the 8 foot, you go in big, deeper
And
holes and all that.
what are those 3 inch pipe?
I
Oh,
use
outside.
3-inch pipe for residential
Okay.
cantilevers.
And you're building the gate and everything yourself, or are
Yeah, I
you
build
buying
the
those?
gate myself. Yeah. Well,
Gotcha.
when we get real busy and I ain't got time to build the gate, I'll order them from Stevenson Pipe and Steel.
Big shout out to SPS
Yeah,
out
that's
there
my
doing it
company.
big. Jump up on here and give us a little sponsorship, homie. We're shouting you out like nobody's business. Stevens Pipe Still, they're all around the United States. You
Oh
could
yeah.
find them all over, and
Mm.
and you'll get it. You get what they need. So just real quick, I thought it was interesting. I did this poll a while ago. Logan popped in with one more thing. So we do 4 foot deep on our bigger gates, and we do also either do self tappers around the bottom or
Yeah.
weld a bracket to the bottom. So
Yeah.
you were mentioning that. So let me get this. You were mentioning that, and I just let it pass. I assume what you're talking about is just something sticking off the post, anything
Yeah.
to prevent it from twisting or
Yeah.
picking up. Okay,
Yeah.
because I just take some half-inch or not half-inch, just whatever I have, 3/4 inch, 5/8, half-inch pickets, and just weld them off to the side down in the
Yeah.
hole. And
Yeah.
one of my old school people taught me to pound them in the dirt, pound it
Hmm.
into the dirt the other way, and then weld
Yep.
them on there. And then it also helps the stability of it while you're
It
putting the
does.
concrete in there.
You
So
best
okay,
believe.
so
Anything
you're
overkill like that is good to do.
so you're just putting like a little 2 inch self tapper
Yep.
in there. Okay,
Hmm.
and how far down are you doing that? And how many
I'll
of
put
those are
them
you doing?
to. I'll put one about. Um, I'll beat it down about 6 inches, and then I come up a foot, and then I come up another few inches, and I'll put one on this side and one on this side, and just use a screw and screw it in. Don't screw it all the way in. Let it stick out. It's just enough to help it from raising up if that ever did happen.
Just 1/4 inch
Yeah.
diameter.
Yeah. That's
Okay,
all. That's all you
so
need.
nothing.
Because I've had to do them in one day, hang a gate in one day, and that's what I'll do.
And would you use hydraulic cement on that
No.
to help it cure
No.
quicker? Gotcha.
No. I'll mix
Well,
it up, pack it down, and let it roll. So tell them don't touch it.
don't. What will you do to stabilize? Will you do anything wood or anything like, or weld between them?
No, no, I wouldn't do nothing. I just set them like normal, and then get the gate going good, and then if I needed to put a block of wood at the end of the opening, let the gate rest on it just a little bit while it sets overnight or a couple of
Yeah.
days. Then you're good to go. I've had to do it like that. Where
Uh, just where time permits or doesn't
yeah,
permit you to do it, you have to do it. So,
yeah,
anyways, I just thought it was interesting this poll that I had for a while ago. As you and I start to um, do more consulting and on-site training for people, that this poll basically says what I've always suspected. There was 65 people that voted for this in one of the forums. I believe that's where I got it, which is, would you rather be taught by an instructor who's been doing it for 20 years or an instructor that's been talking about installing it for the last 40 years? So twice the amount of time in the business, but no experience out in the field, or no experience in this century. And it looks like most people, according to this poll, and that person that voted for that, he actually was an installer. He was not an installer, he was a distributor, but I just let it slide because it's just like, that's what your opinion is. But I'd rather be taught by somebody that's doing it for all those little tips and tricks. But there's Robert's direct phone number on there if you guys are interested in having him come out and either help you with the project or help you start into the gate operator part of it or expand there. And then there's my number as well too. So I am in Las Vegas full time, at least for the next 3 months, and we have private classes going on at the Finch University, and I do consulting as well too, which I have. It has picked up out here in Las Vegas, but man, it is just hot and heavy regulation. So
yeah.
before you guys want all that licensing and stuff in your business, give me a call. I'll tell you what it looks like 20 years from now. So
Mm.
what you got going on next week?
Tomorrow morning I gotta add on to a cantilever gate. Gotta add 4 feet to the gate to make the opening larger so they can get their combine through the gate.
So that means you're cutting down the catch post, moving it 4 foot over,
Yeah,
and then adding 4 foot to the gate.
yeah, be welding it. Yeah,
How long's the gate now?
like 17 foot.
I gotcha.
I gotta add. It's got a Door King 9150. So
I think we just got one of those at the Finch University. Oh, I forgot. I wanted to mention these real quick. I haven't put them on any gate
oh
operators
yeah,
real quick, but
oh yeah,
you were saying that you use some Diablo lube detectors.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
use both of them.
big shout out to Ron Hines over at SAS. They're just SAS been a big supporter of
Yeah,
Finch University, and Ron's been really a big booster of the Finch University as well too. So I look forward to putting one of these
that's a DPS
on our kicks.
75.
This one, oh man, you had to get me, didn't you? All right,
It says it
so
on
he,
there.
I know, but do you see what I'm
Oh,
putting
you
on?
old man.
This one's oh man, shoot, you look who's talking. That one's a 55.
Yeah, that's a
Right.
regular one.
And this one is a
That's
7 LP. And
7 LP.
Ron's saying that they're going to the 8. So, um,
Yeah.
for those of
Those
y'all
are
out there,
good. Those are
like
good
these,
if you have trouble with a loop rack. Say your
yeah,
loop rack goes out, you just put
yeah.
one of them bad boys on it, and they're good.
So this just is for one loop, though.
Yeah, just one loop.
One loop and 10 to 30 volts, which is kind of nice, AC or DC.
Yep.
Doesn't look like it has much adjustment in it.
No
Um,
adjustment.
no adjustment.
No.
So that one is obviously easy enough for me to figure out. And then this one looks like a plug-in for like an old Elite.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the
Mm-hmm.
voltage there, but
Yep.
yeah, for those people that are interested in there. So you got to add a little bit to a cantilever, and then
Yep.
what else you got going on?
Got to extend the chain and all that. Get that going. Then I got the LA 400 to do, and got some ball bar to put up on a 10-foot high fence. I got 4,000 feet of that.
Oof, are you gonna have some kind of automated machine to do that?
No, no,
You're the automated machine.
no. My guys are.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I showed them
You
how to
built.
do it where it's not hard at all. You do one strand at a time, pull it, hook it up, come along, hook it up.
Will
It's
you
not
run your
hard.
Will you run your truck down the side, or you just pull it to the ground and then just lift it up every 10, 20 feet?
They use a 10-foot ladder and climb up it and hook it. Climb up because you can't drive beside it.
Oh, not on this
There's
one.
no, you can't. No,
Okay,
you ain't got no
gotcha.
room.
So you'll string it out however long the barbed wire is, 4,000 foot roll or five
Well,
hundred foot roll.
it's in sections. We'll do it in like 400 foot, 500 foot sections, 3 strands, and then
Well,
move to the next.
the I've never had to do that, but razor wire, that razor ribbon scares the crap out of me, man.
That's the
I don't want.
easiest thing to install.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it
I
ain't that
don't,
hard.
I don't
Take
want to
your
do any
time
of
with
that.
it. Just move real smooth.
Well, while you're doing that, is that how it goes?
Yeah, and if you snatch one time, that's it, buddy.
You're done.
Yeah, you're gonna get cut. If
You
you're
got
gonna have
just
a hot head, if you got a hot headed boss, you need to tell him
yeah.
to go on somewhere.
Oh yeah, trying to
Yeah,
push
you
you to
need to
get it done
leave.
quick.
Don't even
Uh,
get on the job site.
you what happens if you get caught? You just cut it right there, and that's
It'll
it.
it'll do a clean cut, man. It's like a little L shaped cut.
I'm just saying, if you get caught in one of that, do you just have to cut them out? Cut somebody out of
No,
there?
it don't really do that.
Oh, it doesn't catch your clothes and stick you on
If you're
you.
stupid and something and you do something like that, well then you feel sorry for you.
Look who you're talking to. I'm not the brains of the organization over here.
Yeah, well, you
Uh,
just need to just keep the set and post when you have to. Don't worry about the razor wire.
all right, I'll put the gate operator in when y'all are doing that.
Yeah,
They make a machine for that, or y'all do that all by hand?
all by hand. I'm old
Well,
school.
Well, we got Fence Tech coming up, and we got a couple people that are helping us out with it. If you guys want to get your brand out there and have us be your free marketing department, we had great turnout for the Fence show, and we had at least 7 large manufacturers interview with us, and that turned into views. And right now, what we're looking at is we're getting just on YouTube. That right there is showing us we're getting 1,200 views a day.
Yeah.
So we're growing that, and that doesn't include Facebook and LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's cool. And I want to give a shout out to Maximum Controls. They liked our Facebook page the other day on the last podcast with BD Lukes with Brian
Oh, cool.
Dixon. So Maximum Controls, I'd like to reach out to y'all and let's get on here.
Yeah, that's I'd love to have Matthew on. I got Maximum Controls on my place now, and pad mount swingers and Door King call box, and they just last. I loved when I worked on the Max that I did that was here in Las Vegas. The fence company that went out there to look at it. I was doing a phone call to Max while they were doing the work. You could set the limits for both gate operators off of one gate operator, which is really cool. So
That's
you
cool.
you got both a primary, secondary. Just go over to the primary. You could maybe do it from the secondary too, but anyways, they just had us go over to the primary, told us what gate it was, and then you open and close that gate from the opposite gate control board, and you could do it. So I mean, they make good stuff. Hopefully I'll get to train somebody on them sometime soon. So we'll be at Fence Tech. We're excited to go there and ultimately do what people have been doing for us, which is supporting us. The support for this podcast or show, I'm gonna call it a show, has been phenomenal. So, I mean, the growth that we've had just on YouTube and Facebook alone has been great. So, anybody got anything to say? Make sure you put it in the comments below. We want to talk about the stuff that you want to talk about, and make sure you guys get smarter and make more money. So, Robert, hit it. Give us the outro.
Welcome to another good episode of Two Smooth Operators, the only podcast about gate operator life for technicians. Your host, Michael Brooks and Robert Evers. Stay tuned for another great episode.